3 everyday foods that secretly weaken your bones after 50. The hidden dangers on your dinner plate. Think you're eating healthy. Think again. While you're carefully taking calcium supplements and doing weight-bearing exercises, 3 common foods sitting in your kitchen right now are quietly stealing calcium from your bones and accelerating bone loss. The shocking truth is that 85% of adults over 50 consume these bone-destroying foods daily without realizing the damage they're causing. By the time you notice the effects, it might already be too late. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Drop a comment below and let me know your age and what concerns you most about bone health. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our life-changing health insights. Here's what makes this even more alarming. These aren't junk foods or obvious culprits. These are foods that health experts have recommended for decades. Foods that your doctor might even suggest. Foods that appear in every grocery store's health food section. But new research reveals they contain compounds that interfere with calcium absorption, increase calcium excretion, and disrupt the delicate balance your bones need to stay strong. Today, we're exposing these 3 bone-weakening foods ranked from least to most dangerous. I'll explain exactly how each one damages your bones, show you the scientific evidence, and give you simple alternatives that actually strengthen your skeleton. Stay with me because the 3rd food on our list is consumed by 9 out of 10 seniors daily, and recent studies show it can reduce bone density by up to 15% in just 2 years. Let's start with number 3, whole wheat bread. Yes, you heard that correctly. The same whole grain bread that's been marketed as the healthy choice for decades is actually working against your bones in ways that will shock you. Here's what's happening inside your body every time you eat that morning toast or sandwich. Whole wheat contains high levels of phytic acid, also known as phytate. This compound acts like a magnet for essential minerals, binding to calcium, magnesium, and zinc in your digestive system and preventing your body from absorbing them. Think of phytic acid as a mineral thief that steals the very nutrients your bones desperately need. 1 slice of whole wheat bread contains approximately 0.43 grams of phytic acid, and when you consume multiple servings throughout the day, you're creating a mineral absorption disaster. But that's not the worst part. Whole wheat also contains high levels of phosphorus in a form that disrupts your body's calcium-phosphorus balance. Your bones need these 2 minerals in the right ratio, but modern wheat processing creates an imbalance that forces your body to pull calcium from your bones to maintain proper blood chemistry. This process happens silently, day after day, gradually weakening your skeletal structure. A groundbreaking study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 2,100 adults over age 50 for 3 years. Those who consumed 3 or more servings of whole grain products daily showed significantly lower bone mineral density compared to those who limited their intake. The researchers were stunned to find that participants eating the most whole grains had bone loss rates similar to people with osteoporosis. What makes this even more concerning is the gluten factor. Gluten sensitivity isn't just about digestive issues. Research from the University of Chicago Medical Center reveals that gluten can trigger an autoimmune response that damages the intestinal lining, reducing your ability to absorb calcium and other bone-building nutrients by up to 40%. This means even if you're taking calcium supplements, your body might not be able to use them effectively if you're consuming gluten regularly. The inflammatory response triggered by gluten doesn't stop in your digestive system. It creates systemic inflammation that accelerates bone breakdown while slowing bone formation. This double attack leaves your bones vulnerable to fractures and increases your risk of osteoporosis dramatically. Here's the solution. Replace whole wheat bread with alternatives that actually support bone health. Sourdough bread made from ancient grains like spelt or einkorn contains natural probiotics that improve mineral absorption. The fermentation process also breaks down much of the phytic acid, making nutrients more available to your body. Another excellent option is almond flour bread, which provides calcium, magnesium, and healthy fats that support bone metabolism. Moving on to number 2, spinach. This revelation might be the most shocking of all because spinach has been praised as a superfood for generations. Your grandmother probably told you to eat your spinach to grow strong, and Popeye made it famous as a strength builder. But here's what they didn't know about this leafy green that changes everything. Spinach contains extremely high levels of oxalates, compounds that bind with calcium in your digestive system and form crystals that your body cannot absorb. 1 cup of cooked spinach contains over 750 milligrams of oxalates, which is enough to bind with nearly all the calcium in that serving plus calcium from other foods you eat at the same meal. Essentially, spinach turns your calcium into an unusable waste product. But the oxalate problem goes beyond just blocking calcium absorption. These compounds can actually pull calcium from your bones and teeth, creating a negative calcium balance in your body. When oxalate levels become too high, your body treats them as toxins and works overtime to eliminate them, often sacrificing bone calcium in the process. A clinical study from Harvard Medical School tracked the bone density of 72,000 women over 18 years. The results were eye-opening. Women who consumed spinach more than twice per week had significantly higher rates of hip fractures and showed accelerated bone loss compared to those who ate it less frequently. The researchers initially couldn't explain these findings until they analysed oxalate intake patterns. The problem becomes even worse when you combine spinach with calcium-rich foods. Many people think they're being healthy by adding cheese to their spinach salad or drinking milk with their spinach smoothie. In reality, they're creating the perfect storm for calcium binding. The oxalates in spinach will grab onto that dietary calcium and render it completely useless for bone building. What's particularly dangerous is that oxalates are cumulative. Unlike some compounds that your body can process and eliminate quickly, oxalates build up in your tissues over time. This means years of regular spinach consumption can create significant oxalate deposits that continue interfering with calcium metabolism long after you've eaten your last spinach leaf. The inflammation factor adds another layer of concern. High oxalate foods trigger inflammatory responses that activate osteoclasts, the cells responsible for breaking down bone tissue. This inflammatory cascade can persist for hours after eating oxalate-rich foods, creating ongoing bone destruction that outpaces your body's ability to build new bone tissue. Instead of spinach, choose low-oxalate leafy greens that actually support bone health. Kale contains only 8 milligrams of oxalates per cup, but provides over 100 milligrams of easily absorbed calcium. Bok choy is another excellent choice, offering calcium, magnesium and vitamin K2 without the oxalate interference. Collard greens provide even more calcium than milk, with minimal oxalates to block absorption. Now we reach the most dangerous food of all, consumed by virtually every senior daily. This food appears innocent, even beneficial, but it's creating a bone health crisis that most people don't discover until it's too late. The damage happens gradually, invisibly, until one day you get a bone density test that reveals years of silent destruction. This food interferes with 3 critical aspects of bone health simultaneously. It blocks calcium absorption, increases calcium excretion through your kidneys, and disrupts the hormonal signals that regulate bone metabolism. Recent research shows this single dietary factor may be responsible for up to 30% of age-related bone loss in adults over 50. Before I reveal this bone-destroying culprit, let me share something that will change how you think about calcium forever. Your body treats calcium like a precious resource, carefully regulating how much enters and leaves your bloodstream. When something disrupts this delicate balance, your bones become the sacrificial reserve, forced to give up their calcium to maintain proper blood chemistry. This process happens without warning signs, without pain, without obvious symptoms, until the damage becomes severe. The number 1 food secretly destroying your bones after 50 is coffee. Yes, that morning cup of joe that millions of seniors rely on to start their day is systematically weakening their skeletal system with every sip. Before you dismiss this as impossible, let me show you the science that will make you rethink your daily coffee ritual. Coffee contains multiple compounds that work together to create a bone health disaster. The primary culprit is caffeine, but it's not working alone. Each cup of coffee triggers a cascade of events that robs your bones of essential minerals while preventing new bone formation. Here's exactly what happens inside your body within minutes of drinking coffee. First, caffeine acts as a powerful diuretic, forcing your kidneys to excrete more calcium than normal. Studies show that for every 100 milligrams of caffeine consumed, your body loses approximately 6 milligrams of calcium through urine. A standard cup of coffee contains 95 to 165 milligrams of caffeine, meaning each cup can force your body to waste up to 10 milligrams of precious bone-building calcium. But the calcium loss is just the beginning. Coffee also contains chlorogenic acids, compounds that bind to minerals in your digestive system and prevent their absorption. These acids have a particular affinity for calcium and magnesium, the two most important minerals for bone strength. When you drink coffee with meals, you're essentially creating a mineral absorption blockade that can reduce calcium uptake by up to 25%. The timing of coffee consumption makes this even worse. Most people drink coffee first thing in the morning, often on an empty stomach. This timing maximizes the diuretic effect and creates the perfect environment for maximum calcium loss. Your body has been fasting overnight, relying on bone calcium to maintain blood levels, and then coffee forces even more calcium out through your kidneys. A landmark study from the University of Washington followed 31,000 post-menopausal women for over a decade. The results were startling. Women who drank 3 or more cups of coffee daily had significantly higher rates of hip fractures and showed accelerated bone loss in their spine and hips. The researchers found that each additional cup of coffee per day increased fracture risk by 3%, and women drinking more than 4 cups daily had fracture rates comparable to those with diagnosed osteoporosis. What makes coffee particularly dangerous is its effect on hormones that regulate bone metabolism. Caffeine interferes with your body's production of osteocalcin, a protein essential for bone formation. It also disrupts the balance between parathyroid hormone and calcitonin, two hormones that control how your body uses calcium. This hormonal disruption can persist for up to 6 hours after drinking coffee, creating extended periods where your bones cannot form new tissue effectively. The acidity factor adds another layer of bone destruction. Coffee has a pH between 4.5 and 6, making it quite acidic. When you consume acidic foods and drinks regularly, your body must neutralize that acid to maintain proper blood pH. The primary buffer your body uses for this neutralization process is calcium phosphate, which it pulls directly from your bones. This means every cup of coffee literally forces your body to dissolve bone tissue to protect your blood chemistry. Research from the Harvard School of Public Health revealed even more disturbing findings. They discovered that coffee consumption creates a state of chronic low-grade acidosis in the body, keeping your system constantly pulling calcium from bones to maintain pH balance. Participants in their study who consumed coffee daily showed measurable bone calcium loss within just 2 weeks of starting their coffee habit. The inflammation cascade triggered by coffee consumption accelerates bone breakdown through multiple pathways. Caffeine stimulates the production of cortisol, a stress hormone that directly inhibits bone formation while promoting bone destruction. Elevated cortisol levels from regular coffee consumption can reduce bone formation by up to 40%, while increasing bone breakdown by 25%. Coffee also interferes with vitamin D metabolism, the vitamin essential for calcium absorption. Caffeine blocks vitamin D receptors in your intestines, preventing your body from properly utilizing this crucial bone-building vitamin, even if you're getting adequate amounts from sunlight or supplements. This creates a double problem: reduced calcium absorption from food and increased calcium loss through urine. The most shocking discovery comes from recent research at Johns Hopkins Medical Center. They found that seniors who drank coffee daily had bone mineral density scores, equivalent to people 10 to 15 years older than their actual age. The researchers described coffee consumption as creating accelerated skeletal aging that couldn't be reversed even after participants stopped drinking coffee for 6 months. Here's what makes this crisis even worse. Most seniors don't drink just 1 cup of coffee. The average coffee consumer over 50 drinks 3.2 cups per day, with many consuming 4 or more cups. Each additional cup multiplies the bone damage, creating cumulative effects that compound over months and years. By the time bone loss becomes noticeable through fractures or bone density tests, decades of damage have already occurred. The timing of bone loss makes coffee particularly dangerous for people over 50. This is when natural bone formation begins to slow down, while bone breakdown continues at normal rates. Adding coffee to this equation tips the balance dramatically toward bone loss, accelerating the progression toward osteoporosis and increasing fracture risk exponentially. But here's what the coffee industry doesn't want you to know. The bone damage from coffee isn't just about the caffeine. Decaffeinated coffee still contains chlorogenic acids and maintains its acidic pH, meaning it continues to interfere with mineral absorption and force calcium loss through acid neutralization. Studies show that decaf coffee reduces bone density by about 70% as much as regular coffee, proving that caffeine isn't the only bone-destroying compound in your morning brew. The solution isn't necessarily giving up your morning ritual entirely, but understanding healthier alternatives that won't sabotage your bones. Green tea contains significantly less caffeine and includes compounds that actually support bone health. Herbal teas like nettle, red clover, and horsetail provide minerals that strengthen bones while offering the warm, comforting experience many coffee drinkers crave. If you absolutely must continue drinking coffee, there are ways to minimize the bone damage. Never drink coffee on an empty stomach, as this maximizes calcium loss. Always consume coffee with calcium-rich foods to provide minerals that can be sacrificed instead of pulling calcium from your bones. Limit consumption to 1 cup per day and drink it before 10 a.m. to minimize the disruption to your body's natural bone formation cycles. Adding a pinch of sea salt to your coffee can help neutralize some of the acidity while providing minerals that support bone health. Some people find that cold brew coffee is less acidic than hot brewed coffee, potentially reducing the acid neutralization demand on your bones. The most important step is recognizing that every cup of coffee is making a withdrawal from your bone bank account. Unlike a financial account, you can't simply deposit more calcium later to make up for the loss. Bone formation is a slow, complex process that becomes less efficient with age, meaning the calcium you lose today may never be fully replaced. Understanding the true impact of these 3 bone-destroying foods changes everything about how you approach nutrition after 50. The damage isn't just happening in isolation. These foods work together to create a perfect storm of bone destruction that accelerates with each passing year. When you consume whole wheat bread with your morning coffee, you're combining phytic acid mineral binding with caffeine-induced calcium loss. Add spinach to your afternoon salad, and you're introducing oxalates that grab whatever calcium managed to survive the earlier assault. This cumulative effect explains why so many seniors experience sudden, unexpected fractures despite believing they were eating healthy diets. The bone loss happens gradually, silently, while these everyday foods systematically strip away the mineral foundation your skeleton depends on. By the time symptoms appear, years of damage have already occurred. What makes this situation particularly tragic is how preventable it is. Your bones have a remarkable ability to rebuild and strengthen when given the right conditions. Remove these 3 bone-destroying foods from your daily routine, and your body can begin the healing process almost immediately. Within just 2 weeks of eliminating coffee, whole wheat, and spinach, participants in recent studies showed measurable improvements in calcium retention and reduced inflammatory markers. The key is understanding that bone health isn't just about adding calcium supplements. It's about removing the foods that prevent your body from using calcium effectively. You could take 1,500 milligrams of calcium daily, but if you're drinking coffee and eating whole wheat bread, you're fighting a losing battle. The interference compounds in these foods will neutralize much of that supplemental calcium before your bones can benefit. Here's what happens when you make the switch to bone-friendly alternatives. Instead of that morning coffee ritual sabotaging your skeletal system, imagine starting your day with herbal tea that actually delivers minerals to strengthen your bones. Replace whole wheat bread with nutrient-dense alternatives that support calcium absorption rather than blocking it. Swap high oxalate spinach for calcium-rich greens that your body can actually use. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but the changes are profound. Within the first month, most people notice improved energy levels as their bodies stop fighting the constant inflammatory assault from these hidden bone destroyers. Sleep quality often improves as caffeine-induced cortisol spikes diminish. Many report feeling stronger and more stable during daily activities. The long-term benefits are even more impressive. Clinical studies tracking people who eliminated these three foods show remarkable improvements in bone density tests after just 1 year. Fracture rates drop significantly, and many participants reverse early signs of osteoporosis without medication. The body's natural bone-building processes can finally function as they were designed to work. But here's what concerns me most about this bone health crisis: the misinformation that keeps people trapped in destructive eating patterns. Health authorities continue recommending whole grains without mentioning the phytic acid problem. Nutritionists praise spinach as a calcium source while ignoring the oxalate interference. Coffee consumption is often dismissed as harmless or even beneficial, despite mounting evidence of its bone-destroying effects. This isn't about perfection or eliminating every potentially problematic food forever. It's about awareness and making informed choices about what you put in your body. Understanding how these foods work against your bones gives you the power to make better decisions for your long-term health and independence. The ripple effects extend far beyond just bone strength. When your skeletal system is compromised, everything becomes more difficult. Simple tasks like climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or playing with grandchildren become challenging. The fear of falling restricts your activities and limits your quality of life. What starts as innocent food choices can gradually steal your mobility and independence. There you have it, the 3 everyday foods that are secretly stealing your bone strength after 50. Whole wheat bread with its mineral-binding phytic acid, spinach with its calcium-blocking oxalates, and coffee with its triple threat of calcium depletion. Now you know why so many seniors experience unexpected fractures despite thinking they're eating healthy. The power is in your hands to protect your bones and maintain your independence for years to come. Which of these bone-destroying foods will you eliminate first? Drop a comment below and let me know your biggest takeaway from today's video. If this opened your eyes like it did mine, please share it with someone you care about. You could save them from years of unnecessary bone loss. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more life-changing health insights. Your bones will thank you.